I'd let everybody know how prep's going. It's been a struggle. I hit a wall this last week. Yeah, I don't know what it was, just low calories or whatever, or too much cardio, or too much training. But it was not good. Motivation was gone. I didn't even want to pose. I wanted to skip exercises in the gym. Kind of scaled back some of the intensity a little bit. I think that helped. Changed a little bit of my diet. Didn't add any macros. Just kind of changed some of the food around. More volume. So went with fish over chicken because you can eat 10 ounces of fish to 5 ounces of chicken for the same macros. And I think that's helped quite a bit. But there was times this week where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit and give it all up. Throw thousands of dollars away, because if you didn't know, it costs thousands of dollars to prep for a show. Like, it costs $400 or $500 just to sign up for the show. It costs you $150 for your MPC card. Costs you a few $100s for your hotel room. Costs you almost $200 for your tanning. Costs you tons of money in food and supplements and stuff like that. It'll cost you a few $100s for posing coach. If you hired a prep coach, and I'm doing this all on my own, that could cost you anywhere between $500 and $2,000. So this stuff isn't cheap, right? So I guess that's really one of the reasons why I'm still doing this, right? So today I wanted to talk to you about why am I not growing, or why do I have body parts that won't grow? And it's funny because I was just watching on Instagram, Hypertrophy Coach was covering the same topic. So it's not that I'm copying him. I was already thinking about doing this topic this week anyways, right? So, but to cover pretty much the same stuff that he was covering, right? So form and execution is generally the main thing, right? So 90% of the time, form and execution is the reason why you're not growing, right? So when I see people doing bicep curls and they're leaning way back and they're using their back and their shoulders to do the bicep curls, hammer curls, they're just slinging them up there. They're not isolating the biceps, right? So they're not clearing the lats. When I watch people, doing presses and stuff like that, when people are pressing, they're not pressing with their chest, right? Their shoulders are forward, their elbows are flared out, right? So they're pushing with their triceps, they're pushing with their shoulders, right? So when I see people pulling, I see some of the biggest kips, whatever momentum they can to get the weight, down on pull downs, right? Or they're jerking the weight up, when they're doing their rows, or they're leaning back like they're almost doing a high pull or a shrug when they're doing their rows, instead of getting their chest, high and pulling with the arms or with the elbows tight, and engaging with the lats. And then once the arms start to engage, right, that's when you lower the weight back down, and that's your full range of motion there, right? So some other things that it could be training intensity, right? So maybe you're leaving too many reps in the reserve, you're not training hard enough. You picked a routine out of a magazine or something you read somewhere that said perform 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 12 and you're done. That last set of 12 is supposed to be to failure. So you're supposed to pick a weight that you're going to fail at 12 reps, right? So, or maybe 11 reps, and you force that last rep. It could be exercise selection. Sometimes exercises just don't work for you. Your body just doesn't move in the same manner that somebody else does, or it doesn't allow you to get that mind-muscle connection, right? So pick a different exercise. It might help you grow. Another thing could be is exercise order. So like me, I do a push-pull legs, and I generally, I have a specific order that I like to do them in. For a reason, right? I don't want to train my biceps before I train my back, because then my back is going to suffer. And I can train my biceps with a lot less weight and just isolate them, and it's not as taxing. But if I wear my biceps out, then I won't be able to work back as hard as I do. you might be the exact opposite, right? So maybe you can blitz your biceps and then you can train your back, right? Just like when I train my back, I train my back with, right? So pull downs and lat rows and stuff like that first. I don't go do a barbell row or a deadlift, because once I've done those or a Meadows row, I'm basically done. Like, that's the end of my workout, right? So my back is smoked. So exercise order could be, you know, a contributing factor on why you're not growing. So what I can tell you it's not, most of the time, it's not volume or it's not the frequency in which you're training, right? So you'll see some of the pros, they'll like to increase their frequency, that they'll train a body part, so they'll train it 2 to 3 times a week. You also have to remember they're genetic freaks, and they're also chemically enhanced. So you know, it's, you know, they're able to partition protein and nutrients a lot quicker than most people can. So you know, it's not something that, you know, the average person in the gym is going to be able to do, right? So work on that form and execution. Hire a coach, right? So if you need it, I'm a coach. You know, if you don't have one in town or whatever to show you, freaking hit me up. I can make videos just for you on YouTube, and I'll just send you the link to where only you can see them, and just be between the two of us, and that way you know the proper form on how to execute that movement, right? So, little story this week. So we're in the gym, and seen a young man. He had faced chest supported on the incline, and he was getting ready to do spider curls. I got excited, right? So I'm watching a young man who gets it, right? He understands. He's choosing a proper exercise to isolate his biceps. You can't swing spider curls or anything like that. It's hanging either in front of the lat. You can't use your shoulder. You can't use your back to get the weight up, right? So he does like 1 or 2 and he drops it. And I was, you know, a little bit disappointed. And then he goes over and he does some seated dumbbell curls, which were actually really good form. He wasn't dipping into it or anything like that. He had a neutral grip or neutral wrist. You know, and he wasn't lifting with his shoulders, wasn't lifting with his forearms, he was lifting with his biceps, right? So I did my little lap that I do in between sets, and when I stopped, I was like, hey man, I was like, I got really excited when I seen you doing spider curls, and then he told me he didn't like the setup because how the bench was hitting his legs or whatever, so I set the bench up for him, and I walked him through his first set of spider curls, and the dude loves them, right? So he got to, you know, torch his biceps doing an exercise that's actually going to make him grow. And I bet you, you know, in 5 or 6 months, he's going to have some of the biggest biceps in the gym. So, right. Something you want to do, hit me up, all right? Get out there, train hard, and let's fucking go.